What's up YouTube, Dale here from Zephyr Wargames. I'm with Donald and Sean. So we're going over basically a beginner's guide for Yu-Gi-Oh! We've done everything from monsters, spells and traps. We're now doing the extra deck. So, if you haven't seen out the rest of the videos, please check them out in the link in the description below. And without further ado, we're going to go straight into the extra deck monsters. So these monsters are a smaller deck of 15 that is placed in your extra deck zone on your mat. And these are all different types of monsters. So, first of all, we have Polymerization Monsters, Fusion Monsters, noticeably by the purple colour. Now, in order to get these monsters out, you need a spell card called Polymerization, and it is basically a fusion, as said in the type of monster, of a range of monsters stated below in order to make this monster. So, for this monster, in order for it to be summoned out, you'd have to have 3 blue eyes white dragons in your hand or on your side of the field, and then you'd have to activate Polymerization in order to get this guy out. When this is polymerized, those cards go to the graveyard. Onto Synchro Monsters. Synchro Monsters are distinguished by the white texture that they have. I should have mentioned with Polymerization, it does not matter how many levels are put together. That doesn't matter. Whereas with Synchros, it needs to be exact. So, in order to get this card out, first of all, you need a tuner, which Effect Veiler is, if it wants to focus at any point. Which Effect Veiler is, which is said here next to its spellcaster, it says tuner. So in order to get a Synchro Monster out, you need one of these. Not Effect Veiler specifically, you just need a monster that says tuner. So, in order to get this monster out, we need to use a tuner, which so happens to be a level 1. This card is a level 9, so we need another monster that is level 8. So, you would tune these two together, and you'd bring out Synchro. Again, those monsters go to the graveyard. And that is how you bring out a Synchro monster from your extra deck. Now on to a more complicated, but more, I suppose, more effective type of monster. This is called an Xyz Monster. As you can tell, its star rank is over on the left hand side rather than the right hand side. That's because it is not considered as a level 8, it is considered as a rank 8. So, with Synchro Monsters and Fusion Monsters, they can be used to make XYZ monsters, but the other way around does not happen. So you can't use XYZ monsters to make Synchro Monsters or Fusion Monsters, unless specifically said in the name. So if it's a fusion of the rank, or if it's a fusion of the level, XYZs can't be used. If it's a fusion of a specific name, or type, or attribute, they can. Right, so in order to get this card out, you need to have 2 cards that meet its summoning condition down here. So 2 level 8 monsters. So you would need to have both these level 8 monsters on the field. You then overlay, so to speak, the 2 monsters, and you get to special summon out this monster. Now, this monster has effects depending on its overlay units. These are now considered overlay units, not monsters. And unlike Synchros and Fusion, they do not go to the graveyard, they go behind your monster as materials. They only go to the graveyard when you detach a material to activate this guy's effect. So, for example, his effect is you need to detach 1 material and he becomes unaffected, target 1 face-up monster on the field. This turn its effects are negated but is unaffected by other card effects. So, for example, if my opponent activated a spell or trap or a monster effect, such as, thank you Sean, Raigeki, which destroys all my cards, I would detach a material, sending it to the graveyard, and his effect becomes active. There are a vast range of XYZ monsters, and this is probably the most common card you'll be using in your deck, in your extra deck. So again, in order to make an XYZ monsters, 9 times out of 10, they need to be the exact same level of monsters that you overlay. Whereas with Synchros and Fusion Monsters, Their effects may be considered weaker than an XYZ monster, but they don't have to detach. Their effects can be continuous, or they can be so destructive when they're first brought out that they don't need to worry. Again, go back to looking at our video on effect monsters, which will explain the different types of effects that these guys can bring out, such as triggered or reactive. I hope I've covered everything on the extra deck. Is there anything I've missed, guys?
I wouldn't say you have.
No? No. Okay, so we're pretty much covered on the extra deck. Don't forget, so, fusion monsters, a mixture of monsters, no matter what levels they are, as long as you use polymerization. Synchro monsters. They need a card that specifically states that they are a tuner in its text box, right next to its type. And then the levels must match in order to get this card out.
Also, they are required to have non-tuner monsters. Some synchros require to have more than one, but as long as your monsters, if you have three monsters, as long as their levels total up to the synchro monster and match its condition, you can also synchro summon that monster.
Yep. And then onto XYZs. Unlike these two, the monsters you use to make this card stay with that monster and are now treated as XYZ materials, that they are detached to activate its effect.
Materials are not considered to be on the field, so certain effects where if a monster was to be sent from the field to the graveyard, if it is used as a material, it doesn't get this effect.
So, thanks for watching. That is pretty much all of our Yu-Gi-Oh! For Beginners episodes. We will be bringing you a slow match in effect to see how XYZ summoning, fusion summoning, synchro summonings, traps and spells, monsters, etc. are active and are brought together in the real game. Alternatively, if you want to pick up a faster paced one, you can watch all of our duels that we have on our page and check those out. If you haven't seen any of the previous episodes, by all means go back and check those out in the link in the description below. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and check out the slow duel for beginners coming up very shortly. Over to you, Donald.
And happy dueling.